Well, look what you have here, ladies and gentlemen. You have another story about good old Mags Visaggio. You know, this guy is pretty much everywhere. Mags Visaggio is self-inserting himself in damn near everything that he could possibly write, and we have another example of it. So we have an article here from Fandom Pulse that talks about IDW publishing, and you all know how woke IDW is, but apparently they are just announcing another super cringeworthy, and it's a perfect word for this, super cringeworthy LGBTQ pride-themed Star Trek Celebrations book with Vita, how do you even say that name? Ayala and Mags Visaggio writing the story.
Ha! Gay!
Now, if you scroll down here and look at the actual cover, or what seems to be the cover of this, I mean, this is why American comics are so dead. I don't care what anyone says ultimately. I mean, I'm always down to hear differences of opinions, but let's be real, ladies and gentlemen. The unit sales are so abysmal for American comic books that this shit is only going to guarantee it gets worse. So let's get into this article, guys, from Fandom Pulse. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into the YouTube algorithm. Guys, we're almost at 31,000 subscribers, on the road to 40K. You guys are killing it, man. I really appreciate all the support. So the headline reads, IDW Publishing's Heather Antos announces cringeworthy LGBTQ pride-themed Star Trek celebrations with Vita Ayala and Mags Visaggio writing the actual story. Heather Antos has assembled the unholiest of teams to make a Star Trek pride issue for IDW Publishing, featuring writing by controversial and fan-loathed writers Vita, Steve Orlando, and Mags Visaggio. One can't help but wonder if IDW Publishing is intentionally blowing up its Star Trek brand after years of trouble already. Well, here's the thing, okay? From what I understand about the Star Trek comic books, they're not exactly successful, okay? They're not exactly printing in mass, let's just be real, okay? Like, the numbers are so abysmal that you really can't say they're tanking Star Trek, because Star Trek is already tanked as it is when it comes to the comic books. Obviously, the first issue would probably sell the best because you're going to have collectors trying to get the first issue of everything, but aside from that, the entire fucking thing is going to go down the tube if it hasn't already. And it's not surprising that they're going to hire people like Mags Visaggio. This guy loves to insert himself everywhere. I'm not really too familiar with Steve Orlando or Vita, but I'm sure I've seen them somewhere before writing absolute nonsense. So it says IDW Publishing has gone through recent rounds of layoffs, rumored to have cut over a third of their company, while simultaneously promoting Heather Antos to their head of licensing. The company also delisted itself from the New York Stock Exchange as the company's value kept sinking lower due to continuous losses over the last couple of years. Matters were made worse in 2023 when IDW Publishing cut their entire creator-owned comic book line. Man, I love it. I love to see the get woke go broke, man. I really do, because this is just another prime example of what happens when you choose ideology over good storytelling. Let's be real, ladies and gentlemen. The unfortunate thing about the activist version of the LGBTQ community is that it is filled with a bunch of people that think that their sexuality is their personality trait. They think that they can walk around and be so excited about who they sleep with that everybody else is also going to be excited about it, that everybody else wants to learn about it, as if that's something interesting to learn about someone if you're not actually sexually attracted to them. Why would I care about what you're doing in your bedroom if I have nothing to do with it? There is literally no reason for me to give a fuck, and yet these people all care about it because they have nothing else to offer. There is literally zero that they have to offer in terms of personality other than, hey, I take it up the butt. I bang dudes, I bang women, whatever the case may be. I'm gay, I'm bi, I'm trans. That is their entire personality trait, and it's all they have. This is why they cling on to it. They cling on to this stuff because it's everything that they have in their life. It says still, Heather Antos has been directing the Star Trek comics into new territories with the cringeworthy Star Trek title and its follow-up Defiant, which masses together crews from across the series in an atrocious fan fiction. Now announcing to the mainstream access site Screen Rant, Heather Antos has pushed Star Trek into making an LGBTQ pride theme issue coming out ahead of Pride Month in the ultimate woke virtue signal. Now, if you guys aren't aware, last year, they started off Pride Month like a month or two early. All of these these companies were doing pride-oriented things literally 2 months before Pride Month, Bud Light being the first one that started it, and look what happened to Bud Light. They got completely destroyed from one simple advertisement with the wrong person. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to IDW, because I don't think people care enough about American comics to really make it into a big thing like Bud Light was, but still, you need to be very careful with how much virtue signaling you do, because eventually people are only going to put up with it so much. Nobody really wants to hear about this 24/7. It's bad enough we got to hear about it for an entire fucking month, and now you're trying to get ahead of it like Black Friday and do it months ahead of the actual month to try to get as much virtue signaling as you possibly can get in one singular year. It's ridiculous. It says, title Star Trek Celebrations. All the book seems to do is celebrate identity politics, degenerate sex fetishes, and trans ideology. Claiming the book is rooted in diversity, to Screen Rant, it appears anything but, as it's the same radical left-wing politics made by the same group of people who have been pushing it over and over the last several years in comics. Now, the funny thing is, when they say diversity, it never is truly diverse. You guys ever noticed that? Whenever they say diversity, it's always people who agree with me, right? If you agree with me, that counts as diversity. If you don't agree with me, then you're a bigot and we're not going to count you into diversity. Nobody actually cares about diversity of thought. That's the biggest thing. You want to focus so much on racial and sexual diversity that nobody seems to have any diversity of thought. So is it really diverse? No, of course it's not. Steve Orlando is notorious for his run on Supergirl, pushing a non-binary friend, which has Supergirl fretting over pronouns and worrying about offending the mentally ill person she's surrounding herself with. Oh my God, what is even this, bro? What is even this?
What the hell is even that?
You know, it's so sad that American comics were never my thing, right? Like, I read some comics, obviously, when I was younger, but it was never truly my thing like manga is. But I gotta tell you, man, I am just so tired of the absolute garbage art that's coming out in American comic books as well. It's bad enough you got stupid-ass stories being told, but now you got disgusting art to go along with it, and nothing is interesting anymore. Like, I don't care about any of this. Why am I looking at a trans person flying right now? I hate this. It's so dumb. It says Vita has faced criticism for years for identity politics, most recently making news for misandry in stating that cis males shouldn't apply for editorial jobs at Marvel Comics. Is this Vita? Of course! Of course, this is what Vita looks like. Now this makes a lot of sense, ladies and gentlemen. Like, why do they always look like this? There's also no diversity in the way they look either. You guys notice that? Like, no diversity of thought, no diversity in how they showcase themselves. They all look the same, they talk the same, they think the same. The only difference in terms of diversity is their sexuality and their skin color. That's it. But they're not truly a diverse group. They love to be a hive mind. It says Max Visaggio has been one of the worst proponents of identity politics in the industry, making a pitch to turn Superboy into a transgender girl to DC Comics and continually taunting fans online about pushing the trans agenda. Most recently, Max Visaggio announced a book, Girl Mode, which is actively aimed at grooming young girls into transgender lifestyles. Now, if you guys missed that video, I did put out a video talking about this particular book that Max Visaggio is trying to put out to indoctrinate kids into the trans lifestyle. So please make sure you guys go check out that video. I'm sure YouTube buried the hell out of that video because of the topic, but it's very important to talk about this. It really is, because Max Visaggio is that exact kind of person. He's that exact kind of dude that really should not be around kids. He really shouldn't, because the stuff that he's trying to push and the things that he says online is very clearly aimed at trying to get as many kids on his side as he possibly can. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.